Welcome back, everybody, to Hoops HD. It is Wednesday, December 3rd. That means it's our first December episode of Under the Radar. How about
Woohoo!
that? I'm your host, Chad Sherwood. Over there, kicked off the radar, is David Griggs. And back joining us again from Bracketeer.org, Rocco Miller, who apparently is not at a game tonight, unless there's a basketball
I,
stadium, basketball arena behind you somewhere there.
I just saw him. He was at the Wilmington Marshall game. He was breaking up the scuffle.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, we'll
This
get
is
to
our
many things. One of many things we'll get to here in a minute.
This is our Under the Radar show where we like to talk about all the conferences that are not among the power conferences. If you want to discuss the ACC, SEC games, they've been great. We're not discussing them tonight. You want to talk about Minnesota beating Indiana tonight? We're not discussing it. You want to
Yeah.
talk about Southern Illinois winning at Belmont tonight? Well, you're in the right place.
Yes.
Uh, not
It
at
was High
Belmont, at
Point,
High
but
Point, at High Point. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Uh, Sorry about that. But whoever won at High Point tonight. But what we like to do, these 22 conferences that we go over are not the Power Four conferences. It's not the Big East. We don't hit the American, the A10, the Mountain West, or the West Coast Conference. We do those Monday night on the Hoops HD report. Everybody else we're going to go over. We like to start off with a feature conference. And I thought a good place to start with a conference that didn't suffer a loss tonight, although its top team only played a non D1 game. Uh, but has two teams I think are worth become very interesting. I thought we'd start things off in the Ivy League with a pair of
Ooh.
teams up there with very good nets, the initial nets that came out. And uh, Rocco, let me start off things with you. I know Yale only played Brandeis
These were
tonight.
my safety net schools, by the way. So
Columbia, nice win over Hofstra, close game, but they found a win. But we got these two teams that have numbers that make you look two or three times.
Well, it's so early and the data is
Mm,
so immature. I know it's exciting that it's the first look at them, so we've got to probably talk about it
mm,
where it makes sense. But I think you look at Yale, they're obviously good. They're one of the top 10 under the radar schools. I think there's no debating that. Got a nice win at Vermont on Sunday. I got to watch that game in Vegas. That was a fun one. Hit a big three late to put it away. But also beating Akron in the championship game helps their numbers a lot too, because I know in Akron's other contests, outside of the one loss Akron has, they've blown everybody out of the sun, as Griggs would say, or into the sun. And so Yale's a very efficient team. They beat Quinnipiac by almost 40. They beat Navy by almost 40. So much of the net is scoring margin. And I'm more impressed with their close wins than I am, which were Akron and Vermont last week, than I am with anybody they've blown out by 40. Because really, to me, if you beat a team by double digits, whether it's 10 or 45, I'm equally as impressed as I am your ability to win games in close games. And I like that about Yale. I think on the Columbia side, it's been really impressive because Coach Kevin Hovde just came over from the national championship at Florida, ran the offense there, did a great job in my opinion, and now they're sitting here 8-1. Their only losses to UConn. Another really good win tonight, Chad, against Hofstra. I got to
yeah.
watch that game.
Um, a couple thoughts on this. If we could pull them up side by side here, Chad. I think
we can.
Yale's. Yeah, I know we can do it. Well,
Give me a second here. We got to type those in. Go ahead.
yeah. But anyway, I think Yale's resume is sneaky good. You have to sort of like you know look at it. You got to peel the weeds back a little bit to realize how good it is. But 6 wins away from home, 6 D1 wins, a true road win at Vermont. I don't think Vermont's going to lose many at home. They might not lose any at home the rest of the way. I think they're going to get a lot of credit for that. I think Navy is going to be a really good team by the time it's all over. And Quinnipiac, I not to repeat what Rocco just said, those are three teams that are expected to do very well in their conferences and probably are going to like win the vast majority of their games at home. So I think those are three solid road wins. And the one that they lost, I was kind of surprised they lost it at home at the time. At the time, I thought it was a disappointing showing by Yale. But if you watch Rhodey's good. And I just really like this Yale team. I'm not. I agree with Rocco that what Columbia has done is impressive with the new coach, but I'm just not as impressed with them overall. I don't think the weight that they've lifted is nearly as much. And how funny was it? Columbia. This was a Columbia team. Was it 13-0 or 13-1 last year going in the Ivy League play? So we've seen them get off to good starts before.
Yeah, and they could be doing that this. I mean, they
Yeah,
got three road games left non-conference. Only one of them's a huge challenge at Cal. Probably over
yeah.
their heads at that one, but at North Florida is very winnable. At Stony Brook could win that one too. Stony Brook's had a little
Hmm.
bit of life. We'll get to them in a little bit here. Uh,
Yeah, and I would say on Columbia, they did start awesome last year, the big win at Villanova. But one thing
Villanova,
they
yeah.
they played so many teams ranked in the 300s during that stretch. Started 11-1, two non-division one wins in there as well. A bad loss to number 275 Albany is their only loss in that opening 12 games. That team could not defend a lick. They were 336th in defense, and it ended up becoming their Achilles heel in Ivy League play. Whereas Kevin Hopke's group they're solid in defense, 158th in overall efficiency, 40th defensive rebounding, and top 100 defending shots. So they've got a clear difference in this year's team versus last year's composition, and they're just playing highly intelligent ball on both sides of the ball.
they are, and let's go back to the. Oh, here we are, back to the standings here. Even beyond that, in this conference, a couple of things to note here. Penn will be playing this weekend against Villanova, but it's for the Big Five championship.
Yeah, for
Uh,
hardware.
so so they could be getting a little bit of hardware there, and
Let's
and
go.
Cornell has not been bad. I don't really
Cornell's
know
been
much.
good. Tough back to back. They played two nights in a row
Lost
because
tonight though, yeah.
the Ivy League travel, something we talked about a lot in the offseason, it has been crazy. Funding has gone away for a lot of the non-conference travel. So for them to get out and play two road games, they had to do a back-to-back on a bus, and that gave them a hard chance to get playing George Mason and Towson back-to-back nights. Good luck with that.
And how about a quick shout out to Dartmouth, the last second victory over New Hampshire in the Granite State
The Granite
rivalry
State
game there tonight.
yeah.
Yes.
They do play each other every year. I don't know what the temperature of that rivalry is, but they do play every year.
The stands were pretty empty tonight, so that
Yeah,
might answer your question on the temperature of that
yeah.
rivalry.
I
Uh,
mean, they didn't play in 2022 for some reason, but I'm glad it's back.
Okay. I didn't realize they didn't
mm,
play.
mm. uh,
Yeah, that was weird. I looked that up earlier this morning, so I'm glad it
Yeah.
came up.
well, another in-state rivalry coming up here Friday night. Bryant at Brown Griggs.
Yes. Is this part of the Ocean State tournament, Chad? You remember
The
that? The
mythical.
Ocean State. Yeah.
Well, if Brown wins, they'll get Providence on Tuesday. If Brown loses, they'll also get Providence on Tuesday. But
Yes. What's
uh,
the Providence Roadie game? Oh, that was amazing.
that's
The
coming up.
Ocean State
Yeah,
tournament. Yeah.
yeah.
The year it
Uh,
worked out like the.
Yale hosting UIC, and they're playing Albany on coming up on Wednesday. While Columbia's games this week also against Albany and at Stony Brook. Let's jump back here to the America East and kind of go through things in alphabetical order. Uh, we've kind of already mentioned the Vermont story here. Uh, Even though UMBC has a better overall record, Rocco, I still think Vermont will end up being the class of this conference. They're just kind of doing what they always do in non-conference play, which is not much.
Yeah, it hasn't been exactly easy for anybody. I think Vermont has held their own, though. That's been a good sign. The Buffalo game could have gone either way. That would have been a great win. The Yale game, they really could have won. Like I said, we were watching that in Vegas among all the NFL games. That was more exciting than any pro football game. And the Liberty, they played Liberty to a 6-point game. So the signs are there. They do have good wins, decent wins, I guess. Road Brown, Road Northeastern, Princeton in that ESPN tournament. So we'll see how they do on this West Coast swing. They're taking on Oregon State tonight. It's really rare to be on the under the radar show in Vermont, not having tipped off yet, but here we are.
They actually have tipped off. They're already down 24 to 8, actually. So not
Okay,
a.
so the conference race is wide open. UMBC, let's talk about the Retrievers. A nice win over Delaware State tonight. They don't have the big wins yet, but I think the way they played Dayton in the opening week was a good sign. Obviously, didn't play well in the George Washington loss. That's all we know so far. They really haven't played anybody at their exact weight class. They went to Georgetown tonight. I'm sure that did
Yeah,
not go
just
well.
updating as you speak. They just dropped to 5-3. That game has just gone final. They
Okay,
lost.
but
Yeah.
yeah, no surprise there.
Mm.
I think if anybody's a contender, it could be them. It could be Bryant is starting to slowly after a rough start. Jamion Christian, got to remember he's new, and I thought their performance last night was pretty good. And we'll see if they can build on that against Stonehill by 12.
Yeah. Well, this is a conference that'll be really fun once we get to conference play, but we're just kind of going through the motions here. Upcoming
Mhm.
schedule. Oh, again, Bryant and Brown Friday night. That's
Yeah.
It's funny that it's funny that UMass Lowell and Bryant got out of the gutter with wins over Stonehill.
there we go. Lowell is playing UMass on Saturday. Maybe that's one to circle for a little bit here as well.
Definitely. They get
But
fired up for that usually.
uh, over the A-Sun Conference, Griggs, West Georgia still on top. You raved about them last week. There they are, still in the lead overall, at least by
Yeah,
overall
well, a
record.
tie for first.
Well, best
How
best
about my
overall record in the
preseason?
conference.
Yeah, how about my preseason pick of Eastern Kentucky really showing out so far?
Mm.
One team that has, and this was a team that's they've been playing better in the last couple of weeks. They got off to a 1-3 or 1-4 start, but Lipscomb's starting to come around. I'm really starting to
Yeah.
like them.
A
Um,
nice win tonight over Tennessee Tech. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
and
a win over Tennessee Tech, not
yeah,
a
it was
win.
this afternoon.
Okay.
I don't know why they were playing at noon on a. I I don't know if that was weather related or what. Do you know, Rocco? You're the scheduling guy. What was that?
Most of those noon games are elementary school days. So I'm just going to assume it is. I've noticed that like 90% of the time that's the case.
Oh,
But I
okay,
agree.
yeah,
Yeah, Lipscomb's played really well. Two road wins last week at SEMO and Marshall before that win today. And they've got some super interesting pieces with new head coach Kevin Carroll picking up High Point transfer Titus Sarguinis, and then, of course, Longwood transfer Mateo Esmeraldo. Those guys were absolutely outstanding in those two road wins last week.
yeah,
Esmeraldo had 22 points and 5 assists against SEMO. So.
yeah, and they're really. I mean, they're really starting to look good. That was a great win at Marshall.
It was.
Yeah,
And pretty thoroughly dominant, honestly.
yeah. I was kind of surprised, and I mean, really. And I know early in the year, sometimes when so many of the games are bye games or non-D1, it's hard to get a really good gauge, and maybe Eastern Kentucky will come on. I haven't seen anybody in this league that I thought has looked as good as Lipscomb has this last week or so. They've just looked good.
Yeah.
Look good
I think
today.
I agree. I think the other big story in this league is Jordan Ellerby came off the bench last Wednesday, and I know you were recording the show probably at the same time, but the freshman at 42, a 42-point game for a freshman, pretty incredible off the bench. And they still lost to Kennesaw State by two, but that's a good discovery for Gulf Coast. He was a highly rated recruit, especially for this level. Giving Gulf Coast a little extra juice maybe for the future.
Uh, Real quick note, one other game and note here from this past week. May not look like much. East Tennessee State blows out Central Arkansas 80 to 57. That was the great game that cost the A-Sun SoCon Challenge, though. That was the
Yeah.
tiebreaker game.
Yikes.
It was 9-9 heading into that last game. So SoCon with a
Well,
10-9 win,
clearly,
but respectable by the A-Sun, all things considered.
Yeah,
yeah,
it really
yeah.
was, considering how how much better the SoCon typically is than the ASUN.
Yeah, it's not a good sign for the SoCon, and
No, it's
maybe
not. It
and
is
hopefully
not.
hopefully a positive thing for the ASUN. But
Yeah.
that Central Arkansas loss must have woke them up because they destroyed the Little Rockos tonight by almost 40.
Oh boy, talk about a conference that's very far under the radar.
There's not much coming up this week of note. Maybe keep an eye on this FAU at Gulf Coast game on Sunday, though. We just mentioned that Gulf Coast team. That could be
Yeah,
one worth circling.
Those
should be
two
a
have
great
played.
should be a great crowd too at
Yeah.
Gold Coast. They get
Uh,
pumped for that game.
these two have played for a while, and it's normally it's very under the radar. But oh my God, turn in! This has been some of the most entertaining games ever. When
Especially the
these
game
two have played.
especially when the games are at Gulf Coast. That seems to be even more
Yeah.
fun. Uh, Rocco, over in the Big Sky Conference, and how about Northern Colorado? I'll get a little score refresh here. Just as we're recording this, they just went final. They were down a lot of this game against Omaha. They just came back and won it. As the Big Sky Summit
Wow.
League Challenge is just getting underway tonight. That was, in fact, I think with that one win, it is 1-0 Big Sky in the challenge right now, with a bunch of other games you can see there on the screen going on as we record this.
Well, I think, that's really impressive because that gives them a fourth really close win, two overtime road wins already at Pepperdine and Portland. And then, of course, the close one in the Portland tournament against Fullerton, and now this one. So they're 1 point away from being perfect. 1 point loss in that same tournament against St. Thomas. So I think Northern Colorado in general, we were talking about them before we came on. You look at Brock Wisney, Quinn Denker, and Zach Block. Coach Smiley's raved about those three. Basically, three returning almost all conference level guys and getting the most out of them. He's been an amazing finder, Coach Smiley, of course, well known for the Dalton Connect discovery, and then after that, St. Thomas and other big stars that went on to high majors. This program and this coach really kind of overdue for an NCAA tournament appearance. It's good to see them off to a good start.
Yeah, beyond them in this conference, Griggs, I think they're looking like the best team by far at the moment.
Yes, they are.
There's been a little bit of life from some of these other teams here. As we record this right now, for example, we see Portland State with a nice road lead at South Dakota, and they've probably been the second best team, in my opinion, also behind Northern
Portland
Colorado.
State, you think? Yeah, it does seem like there's a bit of a chasm between Northern Colorado and everybody else. But some of the Montana's had some good showings. I've seen Montana State, although they're just 1-5 in D1 games, play some games where I thought that they played well. And I think that maybe when they get in the conference play, that might start to rise up a little bit. Right now,
Well,
leading a pretty good
Montana
St.
State,
Thomas
yeah,
team.
they had that. They took Utah State to overtime over the weekend.
Yeah, they did.
They're up on St. Thomas right now as we record this, so you may be right on that on
Yeah,
the
I
Montana
mean, the
State
one
team.
in five record, I know that that has you holding your nose, but you sort of got to look at it a little more closely and remember that, especially for under the radar teams, sometimes you can't just look at a team's record. Well, you shouldn't do that anyway, but you certainly shouldn't do it now.
Uh, Rest of the upcoming schedule here, you can see all these games on Saturday is the continuation of this Big Sky Summit League Challenge. So we'll talk a lot about this next week about how this
Yeah.
entire thing wraps up. But I really got to ask you, what's going on next Wednesday in Montana? This is
Um,
a new one for me.
I do, I
S
do
S
not.
S
Oh, shut it
Salish Kutin. Is that a person or is that a school? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I thought I'd heard of all the non D1 schools, quite honestly. We're gonna have to do a little research on this one here.
Yeah, we might need to send Rocco to that game. Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's one of these colleges that changes their name all the time. There's the one in Montana that they play almost every year. It's been called Providence before, and Chad's joked about the second Providence being out there, and then it had different names as well. Anyway, I wonder if it's similar, but Salish Kootenai is confirmed to be in Montana.
Okay.
It is in Pablo, Montana. It is a private tribal land grant community college.
A
Uh,
community college.
Oh, it used to be called American River. Yeah, they've played them
okay,
before.
Um, that's not a permissible game. That can't be a community college.
it's a tribal college, so, which does
Whatever.
make it
Sorry,
Okay.
possible.
American
Yeah,
American
They
American.
they
Indian
have to
College.
they have to offer bachelor's degrees in order for it to.
They offer 17 bachelor degree programs,
Okay, there you
24
go. All right.
degree programs, and 6 certificate programs.
Okay,
They're a member of the
they're good.
American Indian Higher Education Consortium. We are now,
Yeah,
giving you
I
full
was like,
information on this
we're going
school.
to be reaching out to Montana to make sure they're able to play in the Big Sky tournament, but because we may have needed to tell them they have to cancel that game.
The
Which,
sports team is the Bison,
yeah,
and they won 3 consecutive American Indian Higher Education Consortium basketball championships from '05 through '07.
that is very our
There we go.
congratulations to
We
them.
have gone way off.
We
We are
have gone so far off the radar.
If you look
we're
at the 21-22 Montana schedule, they beat American Indian that year. It's the same
okay.
school.
Same
Okay,
school. Yeah, yeah. I think they've been on the schedule a few times before for some of these Big
okay,
Sky schools. Uh,
okay.
we talked about at the start of the show already. Big upset tonight in the Big South Conference, Greg. Southern Illinois goes to High Point, and this was not a Southern Illinois team we've been circling the MVC at any
No,
means. High Point was not shorthanded by any means. They had everybody available. Kind of almost a stunning upset for a High Point team we've been praising all season.
yes, and if you go ahead and pull up High Point here, I still think. Do I think that they're probably still the best team in the Big South? I think so. Do I think they're so much better than everybody else in the Big South that they can run through it? that they can run the table and make a run at the bubble. I do not. I was kind of disappointed with their loss at UAB. Uh, Nothing against UAB. I just thought High Point was a top 40 team in the nation, and for them to go there and not get. I know it's hard to win at UAB, but it's hard to get into the top 40. It's to be that good, you're able to win hard games, and they didn't just not win it. They were handled. And then to see them lose at home to a mid-level, probably Missouri Valley, Southern Illinois team. One of their wins, they're going to win a lot of games, but one of their wins better be that last conference tournament game.
Rocco, they give 45% from 3-point range to Southern Illinois tonight. That's a defensive problem, is it not?
Yeah, it is. And Southern Illinois is a team that really struggles to shoot the three.
Yeah,
I had the ability to, or the opportunity, I should say, to call their game against UAB last week. Got to know Southern Illinois very well. But two of the guys that can really shoot it are Stafford and Steffi. Stafford didn't play quite as much tonight, but he still knocked down a couple threes. You saw Steffi knock down four. And I think the big
Mayo
story
hit
was
four.
Damian
Mayo hit
Mayo.
four. Yeah.
Yeah, Mayo hit four, and that's the guy that Coach Nagy kept telling us about last week. Is eventually he's going to get going. So, in a situation like that, it's so early in the year, the numbers can be a little deceiving, and so High Point probably went into this game with an attack to give them some clean looks from three, and Salukis really found themselves in the Quibbin Center tonight. And I would say in general, after watching Southern Illinois twice in Jacksonville. This is a good team. I mean, they are very solid. They look super dominant in the win over Delaware. Not too shocked that they could win at High Point. It's just a matter of when and if it's going to all come together. And good to see for their sake it come together. Now, obviously, we're on the Big South Conference right now for High Point. I feel like they are pretty dominant still. Like you guys said, their two losses are those two teams, UAB and Southern Illinois. They have the Incarnate Word win has aged. The Furman win will continue to age well, but they got to continue to reestablish. I wish High Point had a better schedule, honestly, because
yeah.
they have so much money that they're basically playing like a Georgia level schedule right now, and it's hard to, they're just not getting tested enough.
This upcoming schedule, these next two couple weeks, this is just not good. NJIT at
Yeah, that's pitiful to
Barry
be
Baldwin,
frank.
Pfeiffer, and home game and a bunch of home games.
Yeah, hopefully App State gives them a little bit of a test, but
Yeah.
Well, they're just not. Yeah, I mean, that's just. And I realize that it can be hard for them to get games, but they need to kind of do better than that. Another team that you kind of look at you kind of look at the rest of the league, whatever. Does Winthrop have some
they're
life?
good.
And
Yeah, they're old. They have nine seniors at
Nice
Winthrop.
road
yeah,
win at Long Island last night in overtime,
yeah, it
actually.
really was. It played really well
Good
against
game.
Arkansas in a game that I know it
Should
was
have
very
won.
close. Yeah, they should have won.
Yeah.
I couldn't recall if it went to overtime or if it was just close at the end of regulation, but I mean they were
Regulation.
right in that game.
And
And
George Mason too, they played really hard.
yeah, so I mean even in their losses they've played really well and they're one of those teams that I mean big test against Toccoa Falls coming up. But one of our
Okay,
few.
yeah, this schedule is pretty weak or completely over their head left
Yeah.
non-conference with the Texas Tech game.
Yeah. So, but I think once they
Otherwise,
get
the
into the
league.
Big South, this is going to be, they're going to be really, they're, I could see them keeping pace with High Point.
I can too. I really think they're a clear top two at this juncture. Radford and Longwood both extremely disappointing.
Yeah.
And I also think, maybe Presbyterian could be a surprise team, but man, UNC Asheville's still trying to figure it out. And
Yeah.
I would expect Asheville just out of the trust in Mike Morrell and all the success they've had. They have got a couple wins down the road to really get it going soon.
Yeah, well, they just actually swept that little event that a couple of games that they were playing in the Cherokee Center there in Nashville. It's App
Cherokee,
State and
yeah.
Greensboro at the casino there. So maybe that's got things going the right way here for Asheville.
Yeah.
Upcoming
Got to get
schedule in the
NC State
conference.
though.
We mentioned, High Point, and there's just not a lot in terms of tough games for those top two teams. Asheville at NC State. I think NC State's going to be really wanting a win too, so they may be in trouble in this one.
Might be in trouble, yes.
Look ahead though next Wednesday. It's still a week away. Miami, Ohio, coming to Asheville. That's definitely one worth circling.
Yeah, I like that Miami team a lot.
We're going
Should
to
be a
get to
good
them in
game.
here in a couple of minutes, but before we get there, Big West Conference, another game here, Rocco, to discuss from just last night. UC San Diego gave Nevada, I think, everything that
Whew,
they could, but
Man,
just didn't quite have enough.
Yeah, a little unfortunate. I think UC San Diego could actually beat Nevada on most nights, but I guess we'll wait and see. They also were coming off of a big 3 wins in 3 days down in Disney World, long trip back to San Diego, and then back on the road to Reno. But give Nevada credit for getting that done at home. Was a very competitive game. I think Leo Beath for UC San Diego has been a big discovery. He played for Florida Atlantic a couple of years ago on the bench. Went to Division II Lynn, which is, if you've been to Florida Atlantic, it's like right down the street, same, but less than a mile away from FAU. Tore it up at Division II, and great find by this Triton staff to bring him in. And Bull Dengdit is my favorite big guy. Came from Portland last year. Played at Portland 2 years actually. Australian big. He's got shot blocking capabilities. He's done a really good job of filling that big man role for this program. But in general, they're running a lot of the same stuff as last year, even though it's Clint Allard and not Eric Olin. Running a lot of that inside out and weave without the ball off offense that really threw off all three teams in the Disney World Tournament, and a heck of a blowout win over Towson in that championship game.
Yeah. Griggs, beyond them, I know you probably want to talk a little bit about this Hawaii team. I think you kind of like them maybe more than I do at this point. Definitely more than I do at this point, but they
well,
had that close game at Oregon, which is probably what you got you're circling, if I'm right.
yeah, and not a bad. I mean, they did lose to Arizona State. I was kind of surprised with that. I still like them, Chad, but I mean, there's no denying that this is a very weak profile. It's a good record against a weak schedule. They have yet to beat anybody that's probably going to finish in the top 250. Is anybody even currently in the top? I mean, that's just a weak profile. But
It
I
is.
like them.
Well,
When they get
other
to
than
the Big West
they
play.
did beat a team that beat Boise State, so you know.
Well, true, yeah. And I do think that they're good. I think that they're better than what their profile indicates. I think it's really hard for any Big West team to go there when they're decent, let alone good, and win. It's just a tough road trip. I think they'll defend their home court, and I think they can make some noise in the Big West against some of the teams that we're normally seeing as being good. They might not be able to go to UC San Diego and win, but they can probably compete with a lot of the league, and I think that they can still finish not at the top, but relatively close to the top. There's a lot of good teams in this conference.
Well, there are, and UC Santa Barbara a couple of wins this week. UC Irvine goes to San Jose and picks up a win. There's
Yeah,
a lot of teams that are coming on. Even Long Beach has showed a little bit of life with their win over San Diego. That kind of surprised me
yeah.
just over the weekend here.
Hmm.
Rest of the upcoming schedule, though, real quick in the conference. Uh, Actually, we're
Big
getting
play,
into
baby.
early conference play starting tomorrow
Yeah.
night. Starting off, Griggs, with one of our favorite rivalries, the
The
Rivervine Cup.
Rivervine Cup, yes. John
Uh,
Stalika unable to do the under the radar games of the day, which I kind of missed that. But yeah, the Rivervine Cup, one of the many fake rivalries that he came up with. But yeah, I
yeah,
kind of like
that's
this. What you're wondering, because I think we're going to see a regular week. A lot of schools that are about to go on winter break don't want to start conference play without the students there. It's just a better environment and just better in general when the students are there. So they're starting conference play early and then going back and playing a few more out of conference games before the students return and normal conference play starts.
Griggs. Let's jump over to the Coastal, the CAA here, and first of all, how about maybe UNC Wilmington with the 1 point win over Marshall tonight in a game where both teams wore dark green for some odd reason,
Yeah.
but they're a red hot team now at 8-1 overall.
And playing really well. That was a really good win against Marshall. It's probably one of the better teams they've played. Some of their other wins, it's just sort of like meh. But again, if you look at that profile, I do think Navy has a pulse. No one else that they've beaten really does, but they're still playing pretty well.
And Rocco, the other team that I think is playing well is this Bill and Mary team
Yes,
here.
this is a team I like. I'll let Rocco. I like them a lot more. Go ahead, Rocco. I know you like them too.
Oh yeah, well, I had the opportunity to call their game against Abilene Christian last Tuesday, and interesting set of circumstances for this roster. As in the opening game of Jacksonville last Monday, the UTEP win. Not only did Kyle Polium go down with a gash to the face and has not returned since. I think he's potentially in concussion protocol. Let's hope he gets back. He's one of the captains, but also Reese Miller tweaked a knee at the end of that first game and has not been back. He could be more long term. I just know it from being a guy that's dealt with knee injuries for too long. But the point of telling you all that is not only to give you the status update of those two players, it's to talk about how there's no drop off in this William and Mary 1 through 9 rotation. They've been going a full head of steam without those two. They beat Abilene Christian by 40 or almost 40, 34 points. Crush Old Dominion over the weekend. And then the Duquesne win obviously was a step up in weight class yesterday
Yeah,
on
it
the
was.
road, but they pretty much led wire to wire. I think Duquesne only led the game for about less than a minute in the second half, and William and Mary still had the perseverance to get over the hump. They take really smart shots, as you probably not too big of a stretch of the imagination with Brian Earl running the team, and awesome just group collectively, high IQ basketball, very limited turnovers. They're not going to beat themselves, and now they get to punch even higher when they go at George Washington on Saturday.
Huge
Yeah.
game coming up here this weekend at GW. This will be a great test. If they can win this one, I mean, that's it for the
Oh
non-conference
man.
schedule. Home game against Radford, which they should
Yeah,
win, and then right into CAA play.
Yeah, and that
yeah, it's an
season
awesome
opener against
story.
Towson is going to be a fun one.
I'm considering going to that game on it, honestly.
Yeah,
That
I
could
like this Towson team too. Now, the one thing that they are is inconsistent, but I mean, they're a good team.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
uh
they are
let's jump
two
over here
two
to
great leaders.
the
Yeah.
rest of the upcoming schedule. We mentioned that Bill and Mary game. UNC Wilmington's at Louisiana coming up here on Saturday. That's their lone game here. So those are a
Watch out
couple of
for
games
watch
to look at.
watch out for Hofstra at Pittsburgh as well. Could be an
Oh,
upset there.
yeah, it could. I don't know. But getting back, I like both Bill and Mary Ann Towson better than Wilmington, and I know Wilmington won a big game tonight. I still just like
Barely.
those two teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Uh, Rocco, over in CUSA here, we thought that we'd
Ooh,
be talking about Liberty and not much else, but I think there's a lot of stories going on here. We could
ooh,
probably spend an hour on the conference. I don't want to, but let me toss it over to you here because there's so many teams. And
Sure.
what a great game we had last night between South Alabama and New Mexico State, by the
that was a
way.
great game.
Yeah, great game. Unfortunately, New Mexico State came up just short, but both those teams are very capable of having great seasons ahead. I thought the week, that Sam Houston had was really impressive. They go up to this Boise tournament, have to play both Idaho schools. Actually, pretty good crowds in those games, and Sam Houston really pounded Idaho and got it done against Idaho State. Then they go to Oklahoma State last night. They led for almost the entire first half, and then
Yeah.
eventually Oklahoma State overwhelmed them, and they take a 10-point loss. But here's a Sam Houston team that was picked 11th, Chad, and certainly playing much better than that. I had them in my top 25 on Monday morning, and I think they're just getting some surprising contributions. Again, the transfer portal era, you just can't project some of these teams. Sam Houston was a great mystery team. Isaiah Manning is a transfer from TCU, but barely played at TCU. He was awesome in the Vandal win. Kashi Nat came from NAIA LSU Alexandria, and he's been awesome. He had 26 points in the other win against Idaho State. So again, I trust Chris Mudge. He's a longtime assistant protege of Jason Hooten, coach of New Mexico State, and does it ran into a lot of bad luck, a lot of tough close losses last year. Let's hope for his sake it turns around this year. But I thought last week's performance in Boise for this program was really important.
I'll tell you,
Yeah.
the team that kind of impressed me over the past week was FIU came into the week without a single D1 win. They beat a pretty good Omaha team and a decent Florida Gulf Coast team this past week. Uh, and they've played the toughest strength of schedule of anybody in this conference by far so far. So, uh,
Hmm.
I don't like to
Wait and
see
see.
FIU doing good because that means I have to watch their home games on that court
God,
with
that
the water in the
horrible.
middle of it. But
Yeah.
a little bit worse
Another
for them.
team, can we touch on Western Kentucky real quick? I know that they
Yeah, yeah.
lost two games out in that
Played
event, but
hard.
my
Mhm.
God, they had a lead over Vanderbilt, who's now in the top 25 and deservedly so, for a good portion of that game and battled to the end. The other loss, a very close loss. Talk about a rough 24 hours. You go from that to losing in, was it one or two overtimes to South Florida? I
One.
remember watching it, but so many things run together. I think Wichita State is at least formidable, arguably decent, maybe even good. And I realize the wins in quality and the resumes aren't there. And I hate to point to losses because I know Chad likes to say that like good teams don't lose close games, they win them. But I do think that as a the way they played it in both those games, particularly against Vanderbilt, if they play that way against most of the rest of their schedule, they're going to win most of the rest of their games.
Unfortunately for them, this Tennessee State win in quad three has probably moved out to quad four. Maybe after tonight, Tennessee State just got blown out by Alabama A&M tonight. We'll get to that in a
Yeah.
couple of minutes here. So, uh,
Yeah.
but let's take a look at the upcoming schedule here for CUSA. Uh, New Mexico State at that Abilene Christian team that we were just talking about a
Yeah.
minute or two here. Big Keystone State rivalry here, I guess. Delaware State.
Hmm. That one's kind of fun sometimes.
And maybe
Sometimes.
keep an eye on Liberty at NC State here on Wednesday. I don't think they can do it, but this was their one key non-conference game that they were able to get in there, so we'll see.
Liberty's been kind of disappointing so far, and you called that one, Chad. You said you weren't all in on Little Ibra.
Let's jump over here, Griggs, to the Horizon League, which started conference play tonight. So Northern Kentucky, Youngstown, Oakland, Detroit, all picking up wins this evening, including that Youngstown State game against North Wright State was a great game tonight. Youngstown pulled
Yeah,
out the
real fun
last
one.
second win there.
Yeah, Wright State had a shot at the buzzer that would have won it, but Youngstown Penguin fever living on. Northern Kentucky, I just was not expecting anything from them this year. Uh, getting off to a 7-2 overall start, 5-2 against D1, and winning their conference opener tonight. Are they going to keep this up, or is it going to taper off eventually? And teams, uh,
Uh,
yeah,
who have they played, Griggs? I mean that's
nobody.
and in
Yeah.
their two gate losses, they really weren't that competitive in either one of them. That's kind of my issue with
Okay.
NKU so far.
So chances
They
are they're
are.
going to crash. Yeah.
On the other hand, it's Rocco. It's a conference that's been kind of disappointing in recent years, and I don't know necessarily that anybody stood out that they are going to be great in this league this year, unless maybe it's Youngstown.
Yeah, I think it's a league where everybody takes at least four losses and maybe
Hmm.
even more. But I do think, Oakland's played a ridiculous schedule,
Yeah, I like Oakland. I
and
really
Oakland
do.
went to they went to Montana and put Montana's Money Williams into a pretzel, and he shot like 4 for 17 in that game, and Oakland beat him on their. That's a true road win at Montana, tough thing to do. And then they
Yeah.
also beat a pretty good Lamar team in that tournament. And I thought that was our first real look at Oakland, besides their, infamous tie game with Purdue with 3 minutes to go. Oakland is probably the most trusted team I have. I think Robert Morris has been pretty good in some flashes. Obviously, had the big win at Drake early in the year. NKU's been hot lately, and Youngstown, I think in general, runs a great system. They've got to figure out the defensive end. But I like those. What is that? Four teams I mentioned. Yeah, I like those four at the top right now.
Okay. Upcoming schedule this week, we're continuing on with some more conference play here tomorrow night, and actually right through the weekend here. If we want to
Yeah.
take a look at Oakland, they're going to actually have a non-conference game though against Toledo, worth
Yeah.
circling. Actually followed by, let me go back to that schedule there, at Northern Iowa coming up after that too.
Yeah.
So a
Another
couple
rough
interesting games for.
game. Yeah. And then, of course, on December 20th, we have the sweater game.
Yes.
Yes, Michigan State.
Yes.
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 Uh,
And
If you,
Oakland did beat Purdue Fort Wayne tonight to go 1-0 as well.
yeah, I really like this Oakland team. I know that they kind of got their noses bloodied out of conference, but look who they were fighting against. I
Yeah,
think I
exactly.
think they're the best team in the league.
Yeah.
First team to play two number one teams back to back since
Yeah, I
1990.
know. I
Uh,
maybe ever. That was
okay.
retarded.
Metro Atlantic time here. Here we go. We started conference play tonight here. Also, Rocco Sacred Heart is your first place team. Give them the NCAA tournament bid. The season's over. Stop the count.
Stop the count. Yeah, especially if you're the Pioneers. I mean, have they ever even made it? Like, aren't they one
They
of
have
the
not.
school? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
they're
So,
one of a handful have never made. There's a nice amount, because they're a more recent transitional team up to D1. But yeah,
Yeah.
like in the
yeah,
last 20 years.
the Pioneers took advantage of a wounded Mount St. Mary's that they did announce this morning, four players out. I know a couple of those guys been out longer, but Sacred Heart went in there and got the job done. You still have to go on the road and get the win against the defending Metro Atlantic tournament champions. And Deshaun Gittins was great with 23 points, going 10 of 11 from the line. You also had Abdu Yad, a really promising 6'9", 250-pound beast of a freshman who had 21. He could be a secret weapon throughout conference play. And then Jan Farrell, we remember him starting for Bonaventure a few years ago. I've liked this Sacred Heart roster. They just haven't given us any real results to hang our hat on. Ideally for them, today was the start of that process. I'm also looking forward to Chad. Quinnipiac at Iona on
Yeah.
Friday looks like an awesome way to start conference play for
I,
those two,
I was about to
and that's
say that.
probably the game of the day on Friday.
Yeah, that's those are two of the better teams in the conference, I think. Quinnipiac was my preseason pick to win it. Iona has looked really good in out of conference play. I think they've been off for a while. I don't
They
remember
went
them
to
playing,
Paradise
but
Jam and kind of
yeah,
struggled actually.
right.
Iona's last game was they played a couple nights ago. They got their win at Delaware a few nights
Okay,
ago.
yeah.
Good win.
And they lost they lost to Akron pretty badly, and then Green Bay beat them, which doesn't look good. But I still kind of like that team's potential. One more team, because I know that like we can't, but Siena has
Yes,
played pretty
I
well.
was
Good.
going
They
to
had a
mention here,
great week.
Siena
Yeah,
coming off a great week with 3 wins: Longwood, Ad American, and Maine, and
yeah.
they start the conference play with Niagara and Canisius, so they may be on a nice little winning streak here also
Yeah,
soon.
and they shouldn't have any trouble with either one of those.
And the
Uh,
way that Marist is defending too, that cannot be ignored. They have a top 40 defense. They're second in the nation in effective field goal percentage defense. They're just giving everybody hell and
They can
pounding
shoot,
Lee.
they'd be perfect.
Yeah, I got to announce Lehigh this weekend in Vegas, two of their games, and Lehigh was really impressive to me, upsetting Texas State. We'll get to the Patriot League in a little bit, but Marist beat that Lehigh team by 23. I mean that's saying something for sure.
Harris started with Mount St. Mary's and Manhattan this weekend here, uh, but
Good games.
uh, Griggs, over in the Mid-American Conference. Here we are, the lone under-the-radar conference with multiple undefeated teams in it. Both Buffalo and Miami, Ohio have not yet lost a game. Uh,
Yeah. I'm still I know Rocco's going to pull his hair out. I'm still not a believer in the Bulls. I props to what they've done. It's impossible for them to do better. When you play eight, you can't win nine. They've won all that they've played. And so you can't really ding them for anything. I just maybe it's my own disbelief on how bad I thought they were going to be coming into the year. I'm just not there yet. Now they have got a massive. If they win this one, even though they get the Bonnies at home, then I'm going to start to come around. I think their next two are exceptionally hard games to win, especially the next one, even though it's at home. The team I like, and I got to preface this by saying that currently their profile may be even less impressive than Buffalo's, but I have liked Miami since September. I still really like them. I think they can win the league. Um, they're still my pick, but
Greg's more impressed by a road win at Air Force than a road win at DePaul. So, that's.
yeah, that's a pitiful schedule. That is in playing Maine. It just doesn't get any stronger. Eastern Kentucky without any D1 wins yet. I mean, that's a pitiful schedule. I'm not going to defend the schedule. I just think Miami is a really good team.
I'll tell you what. At the end of the day, Rocco, I don't think it's either one of these undefeated teams. I think it's this Akron team
Yeah, Akron was the team that. Okay, I'm glad you're asking Rocco about
they
that
played
because
Yale
they are
tight.
good.
They beat
Yeah.
Iona.
Yeah.
It's well, they've got another gear to them, right, Chad?
Mhm.
Like Akron can just put it on you quickly. Most of their wins they've won by an absurd amount. They beat Bucknell by 20 today. That Milwaukee win on Saturday was interesting to me because I was at the Akron Milwaukee game last year in Milwaukee when Milwaukee destroyed Akron. So they got their payback there, a 24-point win. And so, the way Akron likes to run and gun and turn good defense into good offense, they can typically get the big leads. But in the game against Yale, that was for me a real fair fight. Yale too intelligent to give away possessions. They're very responsible with the ball offensively. We saw an offensive showcase, 97-94, Chad, in a championship game where
It's a
teams were on
great
back.
game.
Yeah, teams were on back-to-backs too. That was pretty amazing.
That
But
was one of the
Akron,
more entertaining games of the year. It was just a great
right.
game.
Right. And well, with Tavari Johnson, Amari Lyles, Shama Scott, etc., they have a ton of offensive weaponry at Akron, so they're going to overwhelm a lot of the teams in the MAC, I think. But I do think when it comes down to winning the regular season championship and the eventual tournament, they're going to have to get a little bit more responsible defensively, and that's kind of where I'm holding my breath with the Zips.
The upcoming schedule for this week in the conference. I know there's plenty of other stories, but that Akron team at Tulane on Saturday, a very interesting game there. Uh,
Yeah.
And what about Bowling Green beating Kansas State? That was pretty
Yeah,
good.
oh,
I
sorry.
hope that yeah,
Let's go back to that. I'm sorry. You are right here. I
It's
was
okay.
trying to keep the show moving, but we absolutely should discuss that Bowling Green, that win at
And
Kansas State.
Eastern Michigan over Cincinnati, unless you covered that last week.
we did. We
We
covered that last.
covered.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
this K-State win, good quad 3 win.
Probably.
Oh, I think that's more an indictment both on Cincinnati and Kansas State. But Bowling Green,
Yeah.
Eastern Michigan, more life than we expected.
My
Bowling
God,
Green,
Bowling Green didn't just beat K-State at the Octagon. They just manhandled them.
Well, it's a good segue to Saturday. I think that Bowling Green Utah Valley game is a really good mid-major game. Under the radar
back.
game.
Oh,
Under
yeah.
the radar game.
Is
Sorry.
Bowling Green actually playing back-to-back days too? They're playing
Yes.
Aquinas on Sunday. Ooh, that's
Yeah,
rough.
this-
The Aquinas team is a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We think.
The walk-ons might start that day.
Yeah.
Eastern Michigan hosting Cleary, and then at Fort Wayne next week. UMass Boston College next Wednesday also. Circle that one. Don't forget UMass is in this conference now.
In Springfield, Chad. That's a Mass Mutual Center game.
MEAC time, Rocco, and it's the MEAC. We had zero
The only
D1.
league-
Wait, no.
Yeah.
Howard beat St. Mary's. NC Central beat Carolina. Come on. What a week for them.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, it was the only league in America last week that did not get a D1 win, but that doesn't mean that the MEAC's getting worse. It just
You're
means
right.
they have to schedule really hard.
There were
Um,
competitive games in here, though. The couple games
Right.
tonight were very close. The Navy game, the Delaware State game, the James Madison game. So I don't think they're that far off. Howard was right in there with Mount St. Mary's last weekend.
Yeah,
Delaware State was in there
heard,
with yeah. Go
I
ahead.
heard Maryland Eastern Shore is working with Canisius on getting another game up there because they did beat Binghamton in our favorite game of the year a couple
Yes.
weeks ago.
Oh, that was just a spectacular event. I was so happy to watch it.
Yes.
Upcoming this week, if you want to talk, teams that are kind of favored to win this conference, maybe we look at Norfolk State. They're at James Madison and at Baylor. Maybe the game at James Madison, they may have a shot.
No. Well, no.
And we mentioned the
Yeah, and I think
Delaware State game.
Yeah, for the sake of HBCU basketball, the game against A&T, between NC Central and A&T on Saturday will always be a great atmosphere. So definitely worth tuning in, and both teams very even, so it should be a close game.
Also, the Howard A&T game coming up on Tuesday. Another.
That NC Central A&T game that's a fun rivalry, and I'm glad that they keep that one going.
And Chad, the Howard NCAA game, guess where that's being played?
I I
A little
I,
place called Cameron Indoor
I
Stadium.
knew this. You thank you for reminding me. I did see that on
Yes,
the upcoming schedule. So if you've never been to Cameron and you want to
that's your
get in
time.
and see a basketball game, go Tuesday night. You'll get
There
yeah.
it
in.
is.
You can't get
There it
in the
is.
NCAA
games.
might bring some fans. Yeah. Why
Uh,
aren't they playing at A&T? Well, never
Missouri Valley Conference here. Griggs,
mind.
Belmont tonight at home. Decent Richmond team. Your pick to win the A10, uh,
Right.
Yeah. I'm
but
really. I think that that's a
close
pretty.
loss.
Yeah, I think that that's a pretty good win for Richmond. It's certainly the best win Richmond has on the year. I know that we're talking more Belmont than Richmond, but that first loss of the year, I'm still. Belmont's having a better year than what I was expecting. The win against Toledo was really good earlier in the
A
week.
23-point win at Charleston. I don't.
Yeah,
Maybe Charleston might be down a bit still, but by 23 on the road.
that's impressive. And Richmond is one of those teams that's just really hard to play against. That's that's why I kind of picked them. But I think another story in the league, the team I'm still sort of leaning on the most, even though their profile probably isn't as impressive. I really like this Northern Iowa team. Still like them. And again, not, I mean, the win at Irvine aside, not a very impressive profile. They haven't been on the road much, but that game against Tulsa was a great game. And Tulsa, while their league is bad, they're pretty good. And you look at what's kind of coming up here. They get Wichita State at home. They got a game coming up against Oakland, who we just kind of talked about. And then I just think that they're about to be tested. We might be about to learn a little more about them.
I
Great,
think
Ben
I
Jacobson,
think
great coach.
this could be a fascinating game on December 22nd at St. Mary's. I mean,
Yeah, it
I,
could be.
I'm not predicting Northern Iowa to win the game, but I would not. It would not shock me
It
entirely if
wouldn't
they did.
shock me either. I think they're really good, the Panthers. Some of the teams have kind of shown out in the league. Murray State getting the win over George Washington. They can play at a high level. Valpo, not much expected from them, almost beating Marquette the other night.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the Valley of Old, but it's certainly a better Valley than what we've seen minus Drake last year.
Throw out there, Bradley beat Washington State. Drake beat Georgia Tech this past week.
Yeah,
Southern Illinois, we mentioned at the top of the show, the one at High
right.
Point. So
Yeah,
a lot of, a
really
little
solid
bit
win.
of
I
life
think
here in the conference.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
think Illinois State had a ton of offseason hype, started really slow out of the gates, but now they've ripped off six in a row. Another double-digit win tonight. They won their MTE last weekend, beating Furman in the title game. Some good signs lately from this Redbird program, starting to become the
Yeah.
team that people were hoping to see.
Right, and you're right. After it was sort of easy to write them off because they had expectations that they didn't meet in their first couple games, but they've rattled off a bunch of wins.
And how
Yeah,
about coming up this week here, a little old school MVC, Wichita State at Northern Iowa. Um,
Hmm.
that'll be great.
uh, a little again, a game here Sunday. A little nearby rivals here,
That
Belmont and
yeah,
Middle Tennessee.
that one's always kind of fun.
It
Um,
is, yeah.
yeah,
And Drake is going to get to host UAB on Friday. That should also be pretty competitive.
I think Drake might beat them. Pretty.
Uh, Rock over the NEC. Again, it's a conference that we really start paying more attention when we get into conference play. But Central Connecticut
Crooked.
had the win at Rutgers, had the win at BC. We thought they had a shot tonight at Seton Hall, and ended up they did not. But they've still, on paper, looked the best. Although even though Long Island was our pick going into the season, I think.
Yeah, I think those are two really good top dogs for the league, no doubt. I think Seton Hall just might be really awesome. Like their defense is so suffocating. It's just really tough for an upset to happen against
Well,
a
they're in my personal Final Four along with Syracuse and Minnesota after what I've seen the last couple of nights. So who knows?
Let's go. Let's go. Let's get it, Pirates. But I think one of the, I know they lost yesterday, but one of the good stories from last week in the league, and maybe you guys touched on it, it was Wednesday, was the Wagner win against Manhattan, where they scored 103 points. They've got a kid in Nick Jones that won Player of the Week in the league, had 35 points. He played in NJCAA at a school called Harcum last year. and really just kind of out of nowhere. And the bigger story there is all the turmoil at Wagner those last couple of weeks before
Yeah.
the ball was tipped. I mean, this was supposed to be like the worst team in Division One. Manhattan had a lot of guys back, and it just goes to show you, you know, if you have the right buy-in, and Wagner's playing really hard throughout the year. You know, now they've got a real player that might be an all NEC player if this continues in Nick Jones.
Upcoming schedule here, real quick. Central Connecticut, they're going to be at Northeastern on Sunday. LIU is going to be at Lehigh, and it's actually a game worth watching here on Saturday. Circle that one.
I'd watch Lehigh against anybody, Chad.
There you go. Uh, jump over here, Griggs, to the OVC, which Ken Palm has it rated the 25th best conference over here. I didn't know that there were seven conferences worse than this conference, but maybe there are.
Well,
Mhm.
yeah, the one it's 25th is probably the ceiling. We've seen UT Martin go out and get a couple big wins. Evans or Edwardsville, excuse me, getting a couple decent wins. Uh, Not
Lindenwood
much
won by
else
100
outside of that.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's kind of hard to believe
And
that there
again,
are seven leagues worse than that.
I mentioned it earlier. Alabama A&M paced Tennessee State tonight.
Yeah.
And that
The
was one of
Cops
the
went
best
0.
stories. Yeah, Tennessee State just won the Chattanooga MTE.
And what about Little Rock, who I know that we
In
I
thought they'd
the
be
wasn't
at least
I
a little
wasn't
bit
big on
competitive. 85-47 tonight. I mean, wow.
I think they're down to, I mean, they have four injuries right now.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're rough.
they're real beat
Gat
up.
Gatkeck didn't play tonight either, and neither did Burgess. And then they also have, of course, the Robinson boys are all injured, are all not playing. It's just brutal. I mean, they from like our preseason show to now, they're down almost six or seven guys. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this has
if we're
been.
going to talk about one highlight, it is UT Martin. They did go out to UNLV and win. They won it. Was it Grand Canyon? I forget their other big win. Played decently well at Florida State, who
They won at Bradley.
Bradley at
Bradley,
Bradley.
Bradley. Okay, yeah, and I think if you're going to point to something, and I know that that's not an outstanding profile, but at least they've done something, which is, you can't really say that about anybody else in that league.
I think we'll be talking a lot more of this conference as we actually get into conference play. By the way, that 0-0, that Blackburn Eastern Illinois game, that game got postponed. That's why it says
Yeah.
0-0 on there. It was not a 0-0 tie. Just for those wondering. Martin coming up this week is playing Alabama State and at Southern Illinois. So maybe circle that game next Wednesday
Yeah.
at Southern
Yeah.
Illinois.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, another decent road test for him. Alabama State, not a bad team out of the SWAC, but I think Martin should handle him fairly easy.
Uh, Rocco, I know you want to talk Patriot League, so here you go. Let me throw it over to you.
Well, yeah, I had the chance to call both Lehigh games in Vegas. The first one was probably, arguably the more impressive one, even though they won the second one. A game where they were supposed to get completely throttled by UC Santa Barbara. Lehigh was the better team almost the entire game. Santa Barbara gets the win by 2 points late. A three-pointer that was well set up on a full court play to their best player, Nasir Whitlock, just rimmed off. If that ball goes in, Lehigh wins the game against Santa Barbara, which is pretty impressive. They came into the Resorts World Classic 2-5. They leave 3-6, and I thought Hank Alvey, the center, 6'9", 250, is a really important, really intelligent piece. Really no weaknesses defensively or offensively. He's really their only major big guy. So if anything happens to Alvey, they're in deep trouble. But otherwise, Nasir Whitlock, man, this guy is a big time player, plays very smart, as most Lehigh players traditionally do. And in the win over Texas State, he goes for 31 and only took 19 shots. And so, I thought the fact that Lehigh has a star, if you look at their schedule, they took some losses to, I guess, Marist and Columbia. That like those don't seem like bad losses anymore. The loss at
Last
Binghamton
about
and
last
Cleveland.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sort of a hall pass, but they did have the lead late. They should have closed it out. But the reality was they flew out of Vegas Saturday and got home at 3 in the morning, and then had to be on campus Sunday, one practice, and then a 3 hour bus to Binghamton. I mean, a little bit of a tight turnaround, but that's life in the Patriot League. We'll see how they do against LIU on Saturday. I do think Lehigh's got some legs in this league.
Real quick here, quick shout out to Colgate. They went up to Canada there and swept the 3 games they had against
Yes.
Albany,
Yeah.
Fordham, and SUNY Anianta. But and American with a nice week as
Colgate's
well.
good.
They picked up wins over Maine, Longwood, and Drexel, although they did lose a game to Siena there in the middle. Upcoming this week here, we mentioned that Lehigh game against Long Island coming on Saturday. Air Force Navy on Sunday, Griggs.
Yeah.
It's you got to circle
Co-
that one.
A commander in chief game. But
And
uh,
Colgate at St. Bonaventure Wednesday. Yeah, it's a little Western New York battle there. Uh, but
yeah, St. Bonaventure should dominate that one. But
Greg's over at the SoCon, which is honestly but probably been a little bit on the disappointing side this season.
yeah,
And even this past week, things like Chattanooga losing a home game to a Tennessee State team that once again just lost by 40 to Alabama A&M tonight. But
yeah, and barely beating the ASUN in that challenge. I know we alluded to that earlier. That's
yeah,
normally a challenge that would not be much of a challenge for the SoCon, but East Tennessee State, I think, has been pretty good. I know they're coming off of a loss to Dayton. I thought they played well in a losing effort in that game, and that wasn't one that I think anybody was really expecting them to be able to win. It's easy to talk about the disappointments. I like you. I was kind of a believer in VMI. They haven't shown out yet. Samford's they've had some moments, but where they're good, but they've had hours where they haven't been good.
89-45 last week to Utah Valley. It's
Yeah,
just the score that goes.
yeah, in like, moments of greatness and hours of suckiness. But if I'm going
Um,
to point to anyone, I haven't. I'll admit I haven't seen much of Mercer. You might have to ask Rocco about them, but I'm still kind of big on East Tennessee State as far as compared to the rest of the
But
league.
Mercer, and I think we give a little shout here to Furman this past week. They did lose games to Illinois State, but they beat Richmond, who
Yeah,
Yeah.
who just
yeah,
picked
they
up the big win
did.
tonight. They won
Yeah.
tonight at Elon. So
Hmm.
Getting
yeah.
done. And Mercer beat Elon last week, so
Yeah.
Elon doesn't want to play any SoCon teams anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mercer, I think that's been the bright spot, and there haven't been many in the league, as you guys
Yeah.
said. But the Canadian Baraka Okoje, he's been phenomenal. He had 29 in that Elon win, another 16 against App State, and Mercer shot it well as a team. They're top 80 in the country from three, and I think they've been really, really tight with the ball as well, not being. I think they're top 50 in lack of turnovers, so that's a good sign if they can continue on. I know they have a pretty good big man as well. It'd be a great story if Mercer can come from the middle of the pack to the top of the league.
Yeah.
You talk about Armani Mighty there in the middle.
I am.
What a great name that is too.
Yeah.
It is. It is. And this league for where we're at right now is completely wide open. Like
Eh,
Furman's trying to turn it around. Looks like they have good signs. ETSU's got good defense. We talked about Mercer. Chattanooga's in a deep hole, but with the
Yes.
genius, and so is Samford for that matter. But I think the geniuses they have at head coaching spot. Would you guys be shocked if they just showed up for league play and got back to normal? I wouldn't be.
it wouldn't surprise me at all. Here's an upcoming schedule: ETSU hosting South Alabama in a big one Friday night here. Definitely worth a
Yeah.
circle. We
That is
mentioned
a big game, or a good. That's a really good game. We'll get to South here in a second.
the only other one maybe worth watching is Harvard and Furman because Mercer's hosting Oglethorpe, Furman hosting
Yeah.
Bob Jones, Chattanooga hosting Oakwood. It's a week off for the conference. Uh,
Yeah.
Yep.
how
Sanford going to
about the
VCU. Yikes.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh
Rocco?
dear.
We are two
Oh
games into the
my
Southland
goodness.
Conference season, and the team that we all thought was going to win the conference, well, until UTRGV tied the night, was in last place following a McNeese lost Incarnate Word on opening night in the Southland last night.
Welcome to league play, Chad.
Absolutely, I'm excited. All of you said in our preseason that McNeese was running away with his conference, and I was the only one that tried to say no, 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 they won't. So
Yeah.
far, I'm vindicated.
Well, Incarnate Word is a good example of what's been going on throughout the rest of the Southland this last offseason and a little bit into last season. Lot more dollars coming into these rosters. I mean, Incarnate Word is very invested. Davion Bailey's a special talent, but they also have Taj who is well compensated. We'll just leave it at that. Jordan Pike, Harold Woods, like They have a really strong starting lineup at Incarnate Word. Hasn't really all clicked. They had that opportunity against High Point in the championship of their MTE in Daytona. Didn't come through there, but they came through in a big way in this conference opener. Bailey goes for 29 and 5 assists. Best player on the floor that day. And McNeese, like they caught them at a good time. McNeese came off of some amazing
Yeah,
basketball
they did.
in Cayman Islands where they beat George Washington Murray in middle. Like I was blown away by how they played. And of course, anytime you're on that big of a high, sometimes it's about to crash. And Incarnate Word delivered there. So now we have a real race on our hands early on, which makes it a little more exciting because McNeese, I think, the last 2 years has completely just ran away with it.
Yeah.
But I think we have a defense
One
here.
conference loss in 2 years.
Right. We have a
There you
defense.
go.
We have Incarnate Word. I think Stephen F. also there. I think Lamar is going to be there. We
That's
know
a
what
big
New Orleans has
New
done
Orleans is
already this
fun.
season.
Yep.
So, so this could be a huge battle. Remember, we are playing for double buys and double buys of the conference in a eight-team ladder conference tournament here. So there's a
Yeah.
lot at
Um,
stake in the conference regular season.
yeah, Incarnate Word, that was a good game the other night. Incarnate Word has put dollars into their schedule. Can we put at least a couple dollars into their production so we can get the scorebug back on the screen?
Yeah, no doubt, man.
They just want you to make certain you put
God,
the
Good
sound on
shout
in that
out.
game.
yeah.
Uh,
Good
Upcoming
shout
schedule
out.
this week: Incarnate Word back at it on the road at Nichols.
Got to get that one.
And then at
Yeah.
New Orleans coming up on Monday. Here's a game to circle in
Oh,
a
wow.
conference play game in December in the Southland that you should be circling, and it does not involve McNeese. How about that?
Yeah.
I was looking at going to that game too, Chad. I wanted to get to New Orleans. Why not see the Incarnate Word story as well?
Meanwhile, a couple of interesting non-conference games here. Also, McNeese is going to be at Rhode Island. Lamar is going to be at San Diego State. Uh, East Texas A&M at Connecticut. Griggs, you taking the upset?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
Houston Christian at New Orleans
UConn
here also
always
on
plays
Saturday.
East Texas A&M, as our good friend Jared or Zach Singer has pointed out.
Griggs, over in the SWAC,
Yeah.
we mentioned a couple wins tonight actually. Pine Bluff and Alabama A&M with non-conference wins.
Yeah, Alabama A&M with kind of a surprising win in 3D1 wins overall. Not a team I was that excited about coming into the season, but probably outperforming most of the rest of the league. I still like this Alabama State team, but they clobbered Tennessee State.
They did. It's all been home wins. I think that's the change we're seeing, Rocco, this year in the SWAC is we're seeing more non-conference D1 home games than we've ever seen before, with more money coming into the league. They can afford to do it.
Yeah, it's great it's a great sign of progress for some of these places that can do it. And Alabama A&M is also in that group who played, like you said, really well against Tennessee State. I think we said Alabama State's also been able to get. I guess they're not in that list. So you were talking about Alabama A&M.
Alabama State did beat somebody. They won. They had that
They
win.
They won at
Yeah.
UAB,
Did
beat
the-
IU Indy,
Yeah.
Yeah,
kind of, played some pretty good games. The one that I really thought they were going to beat Air Force, but they didn't. And then, of course, they got they're going on the road to get paid and most likely killed coming up. But
Texas
I
Southern's
still
a
like them
good.
once conference play starts. I think can still be a good team.
Definitely. Texas
Yeah,
Southern's a good example. They've already hosted Samford. They get Sam Houston at home this week. They'll get Abilene Christian at home later this month. So those are three really good home games for a SWAC team.
Yeah, they got to start winning some of them. There's an overtime loss to Samford, so we'll see what they do against Sam Houston and against Abilene.
Yeah.
They did blow out College of Biblical Studies, one of our favorite schools here, who has already played more D1 games than most D1
yes,
schools have.
right.
But upcoming this week here in the SWAC, if you want to take a look at this Alabama A&M team, they do go back on the road to Lipscomb.
That's a
And
tough
might
one.
be an
Lipscomb
interesting game.
playing really well.
And
That's
and
really
Florida A&M playing in that HBCU Hoops Invitational with playing Barber Scotia, and then the winner of a Tuskegee Florida Memorial game on Saturday or Sunday, whatever the game is going to be.
Real
It's an
tough
interesting
loss for
event.
them.
Yeah,
Real
interesting
tough
event.
loss for them yesterday against Jacksonville. They had the lead in the last minute. Would have been Charlie Ward's first Division One win. We'll have to wait for that celebration now.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I was watching a lot of that game actually. They had a real shot there. Uh,
Mhm.
Mississippi Valley at Kansas State on Monday.
They had their chance tonight. They let UL Monroe off the hook. UL Monroe, we haven't talked about them yet, but both those teams were fighting for their first Division One
I
win.
really thought it had a shot at Happy Rocco. I actually did a little research on that one, which I wasn't able to pull out. Pull it out anyhow. Mississippi Valley State has not won a road game, non-conference against a D1 opponent since November of '06. It's been a
Woo!
little bit, been a few minutes. They've
Dang,
a
that would have been
road
a fun tweet.
non-conference game, and this was their big shot tonight. Didn't happen though.
It really was.
They had some good teams in those years. They had a couple of years they dominated the Mississippi Valley late 2000s, early 2010s. A few
Yeah, they
NCAA
did.
tournaments and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, they
Uh,
did.
Over in the Summit League, Rocco, let's do a little score refresh here. Let's get some of these games in here that are coming in here. But uh, Summit League not off to the best of starts so far in the challenge against Big Sky teams. Omaha losing the game to Northern Colorado tonight. KC losing to Idaho State. Uh, we also see there all Roberts. They did get South Dakota State one at Northern Arizona, so they are. It's 4-1 right now as we stand in favor of the Big Sky over the Summit League with four more games going on tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And Montana State about to beat St. Thomas actually as we record this.
Denver also up three. That's a team I like quite a bit. The Pioneers with the Division Two lift and shift, if you will, to Division One with a lot of the same guys. But I think the Summit League is pretty wide open. North Dakota State's shown a little bit of life. South Dakota State, of course, has a good roster. And St. Thomas was the preseason pick that they're, like you said, about to get a big win at Montana. Um, I guess that's where I'll stay for now, but I don't think Omaha by any means is done. They've had a brutal schedule, tough. Even getting Northern Colorado in this challenge at home was a tough addition to the schedule as well. And I do think out of North Dakota State, South Dakota State, St. Thomas, Omaha, and Denver, one of those five is going to rise above. South Dakota Coyotes had a good week last week, Chad. But again, falling at home to Portland State today and then having to go to Northern Colorado this Saturday, I think that's going to hurt them. And they're just too inconsistent over the years with Eric Peterson.
Yeah, I just think it's been a rough start here. I think that this conference is in trouble getting blown out of this challenge too as well.
Yeah,
Um,
Big
with
Sky's good. Big
with
Big
Sky
Sky
is
is
good.
good.
with four Big Sky, 4 out of 5 games going to the Big Sky already, and we're about to put the finishing touches. I think on at least two, if not three more Big Sky wins before the end of the night here. But upcoming schedule, we mentioned those the second half of the challenge come up on Saturday. Uh, and then Griggs, how about a little Front Range action Tuesday night? Colorado Christian at Denver.
Yeah, it's sort of mini Front Range.
Weaver State at Kansas City, not a Big Sky Summit League challenge game, but it is a Big Sky Summit League game.
And the
Yeah,
second and round two, they played already and in season a home and home, Chad.
Wow, there we go. Griggs, over in the Sun Belt, uh,
yeah.
let's not talk about the top of the conference quite yet. Let's go down. Let's go talk about the team in 10th place here. And we've got to pull this up. How about Troy going over, not of overtime, but double overtime again? They have now played a triple overtime game, two double overtime games, and a single overtime game in the season. This is amazing the
Yeah.
amount of overtimes this team has played.
Right. And what's kind of crazy is like the range of teams that they've gone to overtime with at San Diego State, although that one's losing its luster, at USC, who is deservedly in the top 25. So we're talking about teams that are not just inside the bubble, but probably wearing right. And then they turn around and they also have an overtime loss to, to their last time out to West Georgia, a transitional team.
Yeah, but the main story, though, Rocco, I think in this conference is the Jaguars. I think South Alabama's been
Wow, I
impressive
love this
to me.
team. Yeah, love this team.
Yeah. No, I got a good look at them down in St. Pete earlier this month, and they've just continued to play their style of basketball. I think the thing that stands out the most is they've already pulled out, I think, 4 or 5 really close wins. That's a sign to me of a good team. Obviously, they play that zone, but they just have such a really good offensive system as well with Chase Harris being the primary ball handler. Adam Olson's been lethal on the outside. He had 21 in that win last night. And then you look at Peyton Law on the inside. He's basically a tight end playing power forward, and a lot of teams can't match up with him either. And some really good surrounding pieces on top of those three. I just think it's although they're all newcomers technically on paper, These guys have spent clearly a ton of time together in the summer and the early part of the fall to really hit the ground running this season. And I think it's possibly Richie Riley's best team there.
Yeah, a big test at East Tennessee State coming up this weekend. So I think that's one of the more fascinating games coming up
Yeah.
in the conference here. The rest of the upcoming schedule, I'll throw it up here on the screen. Uh, don't know what else you're really circling here, Griggs.
That South Alabama East Tennessee State game. I mean, we've mentioned it.
Old
That's
Dominion at Richmond is an in-state rivalry game there.
yeah,
Maybe throw that one out there. Yeah.
very old CAA rivalry. Now neither one of them in the CAA, but
But Griggs, actually let me go over here to
Western Kentucky Marshall's kind of interesting,
Mhm.
but only kind of.
Rocco, over in the WAC, a little score update just came on the screen here. California Baptist just suffered their second loss of the season. Their first loss of the season came Monday night at Colorado. Tonight they lost at BYU. I don't think either of those losses hurts too much, though.
Doesn't hurt too much. A little bit of pride hurt in the BYU loss by 31 tonight.
Mhm.
Outside of that, they'll be fine. I think they've Dominic Daniels, best individual player in the league, pretty clearly. And then they've got that win over Irvine early in the year. I think gave them a lot of confidence. They went to Oregon State and got a win last weekend. They were able to, they had a couple guys out in that San Diego game in their tournament. I wasn't on the show with you guys last week, but they did rally for a big 15-point win when they were in trouble in that game. So they've been able to get through adversity at different stages, and now we'll see how they recover from the BYU beatdown. But Utah Valley also extremely strong, played well and won the Cancun Challenge, beating Irvine at home, then getting down to Mexico and playing extremely well. Lights out against South Dakota State and Sanford. Those games not competitive.
And did
And
down
right
one at the
now,
down one at the half at San Diego State right now.
Wow,
yeah,
what?
that's right where I was going. Yep, go
Okay,
ahead,
sorry,
Griggs.
go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll
go
pass it
ahead.
over to Griggs.
Oh, I was just going to say that this is just a testament to the utter strength or lack thereof of San Diego State. But no, Utah Valley, I've been impressed with them as well. Tarleton, a fairly decent defensive team, but I don't know. I still like Cal Baptist the most.
By the way, as we see the upcoming schedules here in the WAC, for those that don't know, this is a triple round robin this season. You're going to play everybody not twice, but three times. So something
And
new here.
that guarantees that every WAC tournament game will be a round four.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Upcoming schedule for this week. There it is. California Baptist continuing their tough part of the schedule now at Utah after at BYU and at Colorado recently. Well, where's Utah Valley? At Bowling Green on Saturday. A little very interesting
That's a
game.
good game. I didn't
It's a
realize
good
that was
game.
coming up. Yeah, that's a good game.
And Abilene gets to host New Mexico State, so that's an interesting game as well.
Yeah.
That's all the regular conferences. Let's take a quick look at our mythical conferences. We'll run through these pretty quickly here. The Front Range Conference, a couple games took place this week where we saw Northern Colorado and Wyoming pick up wins, and
Yeah,
they're
how
tied
about
for
Northern
first right now.
Colorado? Yeah, out there. Denver still, suffered a loss, knocking them down the loss column. But Northern Colorado, and they got some games coming up. I don't
How
know about
about
this
a
week. Yeah,
big one Saturday is the Colorado State game.
yeah,
Colorado's first conference game. How about over in the Beehive Conference out in Utah there? There weren't any games this past week, but I think we
yeah.
got one. No, we don't have any coming up either. We got to get these teams playing here.
Yeah, Utah doesn't like to play the same level of Beehive teams that they used to because they thought it was. I can't help but notice that since they quit doing that, they haven't been any good.
No games were played in the Back Range Conference either, but we do have a Northern Arizona State game coming up here.
Ooh, yeah,
Arizona State, they're getting their first Back Range action coming up on next week.
yeah.
Up in the top range here. Let's see. We didn't have any games played. Boise and Idaho still tied for the lead, so we're gotta wait till we get to other conference play because there's some bunch of teams that are also in the Big Sky here.
Yeah.
And our craziest mythical conference of them all, the Conference of Champions. We had a ton of action here.
Yeah, we did.
How about Cal tied with USC for first place in the Conference of Champions?
Yeah, how about Cal? Not an under the radar story, but one of the bigger. I did not I did not have that on my bingo card. Cal being out to the start that they're off to. That's a
Uh,
good Cal team.
Rocco, your Washington team with two huge conference champion games coming up Wednesday and actually tonight they're
Just
going
tipped
to be
off.
tipping off here in a few minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's put up or shut up time, baby.
Mhm.
Let's see what these Huskies are made of.
Yeah.
Let's run to where we go. Our under the radar top 10 list for December 3rd here. The three of us voted. We've got a bunch of honorable mentions that did not quite make the top 10, including Akron, Tennessee Martin, Northern Colorado, Bill and Mary, Hawaii, Columbia, New Mexico State. How about High Point falling out of the top 10
Yeah.
off of the non-strength of their loss tonight? I guess
Yeah.
the weakness of their loss tonight. Uh,
And
Coming in
look at
number
us
10.
not ranking Akron. I like it. We're smelling right through the BS.
Yeah.
Akron just barely missed out. Western Kentucky did get that number 10 spot. Tied for eighth. We had a tie between McNeese, who still hung on there. Last place of their conference, but one of the top 10 under the radar teams of the nation.
Miami,
Along with
Ohio.
Miami, Ohio. There we go. At number 7, California Baptist. We did vote
Yeah.
before the BYU loss. It wouldn't change my ranking of them, though.
You wouldn't know mine either. Yeah.
Buffalo coming in number 6. Still getting love there.
Yeah.
I know, Griggs, you don't believe in them, but
I don't. If they win their next one, I will.
and how about those Jaguars coming up to number 5? I think it's a big jump in them off of last week. South Alabama
Yeah.
moving
They're
up.
playing really well. I like
Yeah.
that team.
Belmont at number 4. They did lose tonight, but they still hanging in there.
Yeah.
First loss.
Northern Iowa right above them now at number 3.
Yeah. Not the best profile yet, but a good team.
And it was real close between 1 and 2, but number 2 just barely was Yale, meaning that number 1 just barely. Despite the loss, UC San Diego does hold in there for first place. That's it all. Let's go to final thoughts here. Rocco?
Yeah, good top 10 there. UC San Diego. It was a tough choice. I was putting it together as we were getting ready to come on. We had the 7 p.m. Eastern games playing, and Belmont goes down. UC San Diego goes down yesterday. High Point goes down. So it was in true under the radar fashion. It was moving teams around on the fly for that top 10.
Yeah.
Very interesting exercise. But yeah, I certainly wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to I guess UC Santa Barbara. I didn't get to talk about them too much in the Big West part of the show. We talked about the Tritons there, but I did get to call both of their games over the weekend in Vegas. They are the first ever Resort Worlds Classic champions, and did it in a really interesting way. Really, almost chaotically fought each other on the bench in a near shocking upset loss to Lehigh. And then the very next day, 24 hours later, they play Seattle for the championship, a very good Seattle team. And I think the majority of us that were covering the event and announcing it, my play-by-play partner, Tony Constrano, we agreed that Seattle probably should win this game. But Santa Barbara, they came out calm, collected, played together, and played really, really well to beat Seattle. So shout out to Joe Pasternak and the Gauchos for getting that done. And I think it's going to be a really interesting Big West race because I think UC Santa Barbara probably spent the most money in terms of NIL on their players. And now you've got UC San Diego back to kind of the standard they established last year. Irvine's only going to get better. They're dialed in. If you look, Irvine's a top 20 defense. And then you know that the chaotic play of Cal Poly is also going to be a problem in this league. UC Davis off to an interesting start, and Griggs loves Hawaii. So I think the Big West is going to be a ton of fun this year.
It will be.
It absolutely should be. Griggs, you want to finish off the show?
Yeah, just real quick. When you looked at the under the radar top 10, I'm having while one of the things that's sort of disappointing or not as fun as what we've had in recent years is the handful of under the radar teams that we think that can make a run at the bubble and even land inside of it and even land in the rankings. That list is small, but the list of good under the radar teams, it seems to be, for lack of a better term, more parity. Like putting the list together, it's like there's about 15 or 16 teams that I feel like could be ranked, and that not just based on what they've done, but that look pretty good. Now, I know we're only in the week 5, and we still have 100 days to go, and maybe it won't be that way as more things play out and more things develop, but There's a lot of good, exciting teams that are under the radar this year.
There are, and we'll see how things play out. Obviously, we are getting towards the end of non-conference play. We're actually just getting into
Yeah.
conference play here. Some teams may go another whole month here for non-conference play, but uh, I guess on that note, that finishes our show for tonight. We will be back again on Monday with the Hoops HD report, and next Wednesday with another Under the Radar. But on behalf of David Griggs, Rocco Miller, check him out at bracketeer.org and on Twitter and Blue Sky and whatever else is out there, X. I'm Chad Sherwood. Thanks for joining us. Also, check him out on. You called any other games coming up this season, Rocco, or are we through with
We
it for
got
now?
December 17th and 20th, a couple weeks away, but we'll have
Okay.
Santa Clara playing North Texas on the 17th
That's
and
a good game.
Loyola Chicago on the 20th. Both games in Santa Cruz, Chad. So looking forward to it.
Oh, awesome. All right, so check those games out as well. But I'm Chad Sherwood. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you again real soon.